Incredible scenes here in Budapest, Hungary. Orban's reign, after 16 years, is over. And the opposition candidate, Péter Magyar, will be the new Prime Minister of Hungary.
In the bustling corridors of Brussels, where the flags of 27 nations flutter in unison against the April breeze of 2026, the European Union stands at a crossroads of renewal and resolve. The continent, long defined by its intricate dance of sovereignty and solidarity, is witnessing a profound shift, one that promises to reshape its political landscape for years to come. As informal meetings of heads of state loom on the horizon for April the 23rd and 24th, and the Foreign Affairs Council convenes on the 21st to grapple with Russia's aggression in Ukraine and the volatile Middle East, the air crackles with anticipation. This is not merely another chapter in EU politics. It is a moment of recalibration where old fractures heal and new ambitions take flight. At the epicenter of this transformation lies Hungary, a nation whose political earthquake has sent ripples across the bloc. On April 12th, after 16 grueling years under Viktor Orbán's iron-fisted rule, the Hungarian people delivered a verdict that stunned observers and elated allies alike. Péter Magyar, the charismatic leader of the Tisza Party, swept to a landslide victory with a supermajority, ousting Orban in what many have hailed as a triumph of democratic light over entrenched darkness. Zelenskyy, Ukraine's steadfast president, captured the sentiment perfectly, a victory of light over darkness. Ursula von der Leyen wasted no time, celebrating the outcome just 17 minutes after the results poured in, signalling Brussels' eagerness to welcome a more cooperative Budapest back into the fold. For years, Orbán's Hungary had been the EU's perennial outlier, a thorn in the side of collective decision-making. His government wielded vetoes like a blunt instrument, stalling aid to Ukraine, blocking sanctions on Russia, and frustrating efforts on migration and rule of law reforms. Diplomats whispered of Orban constantly vetoes, as a refrain that defined frustration in the council chambers. Now, with Magyar at the helm, a rapid transition is underway. The incoming Prime Minister has vowed to rebuild Hungary's relationship with the EU, targeting state-controlled media and pledging alignment on core European values. This seismic change is no mere domestic affair. It unlocks doors long bolted shut. Hungary's shift could accelerate progress on everything from the next multi-annual financial framework to unified foreign policy stances. As one EU official noted in the wake of the vote, the psychological impact outweighs the practicalities. Europe now breathes easier, unburdened by the shadow of constant obstruction. Yet this internal victory unfolds against a backdrop of global turbulence that demands Europe's undivided attention. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine remains the bloc's most pressing security imperative. As Kyiv launches daring strikes deep into Russian territory, the EU's commitment to Ukraine's path toward integration grows ever more vital. In 2026, Ukraine's progress on accession benchmarks will test the Union's resolve like never before. The European Parliamentary Research Service has flagged this as a cornerstone issue, urging sustained financial and military support amid a deteriorating security environment. The upcoming Foreign Affairs Council will dissect the latest developments, with leaders exchanging views on bolstering Ukraine's defences and ensuring the flow of aid remains uninterrupted. Magyar's Hungary, unlike its predecessor, is poised to ask Putin directly to end the killing, a bold diplomatic pivot that could amplify Europe's voice in peace negotiations without compromising principles. Parallel to the Eastern Front, the Middle East simmers with peril and possibility. Israel's invasion of Lebanon has strained alliances, prompting the EU to condemn actions that have escalated regional chaos. A petition exceeding 1 million signatures from EU citizens is on track to trigger a formal review of the EU-Israel Association Agreement, that vital trade framework binding Israel to Europe. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has decried illegal settlements in the West Bank as de facto annexation, while broader calls for accountability echo through Brussels. Amid reports of an Iran war's fallout and tentative US-Iran peace overtures, with President Trump declaring a deal looking good, Europe finds itself navigating treacherous waters. The bloc's response has been measured yet firm. Condemnation paired with humanitarian pledges, including over €812 million from the EU and member states for Sudan's overlapping crises. As Gulf leaders urge upgraded diplomatic ties in the war's aftermath, the EU must balance strategic autonomy with its moral leadership, as Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez urged at the recent European Pulse Forum. Europe must dream big, Not just rearm for security, but rearm morally to foster stable, peaceful global development. This call to ambition resonates deeply in the EU's push for competitiveness and self-reliance. In a world where transatlantic ties strain under differing worldviews, the Union is forging a path of independence on security and technology. Sanchez's vision, echoed in high-level forums, envisions Europe assuming its role as a moral beacon amid turbulence. Defense capability gaps are closing rapidly. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte's recent talks in Prague with Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš underscored shared commitments to investment, production, and interoperability. The EU's own initiatives, including proposals for a single market in defense materials, aim to boost the technological and industrial base by 2030. From advanced procurement to joint readiness exercises, the bloc is shedding its post-Cold War complacency. As the Recovery and Resilience Facility enters its final critical year in 2026, milestones on reforms will determine its legacy, a testament to how crises can catalyze resilience. Economic stewardship forms another pillar of this evolving narrative. The Council and European Parliament have struck a deal to protect the EU's steel industry from global overcapacity, doubling tariffs and halving quotas where needed to shield workers and forge a competitive edge. Negotiations on the 2028 to 2034 multi-annual financial framework are intensifying, with the European Parliament proposing a bold 10% increase over the Commission's €2 trillion draft. MEPs insist on repaying next-generation EU debts outside the core budget, ensuring fiscal space for green transitions, digital innovation, and social cohesion. This is no dry accounting exercise. It is the financial bedrock upon which Europe's strategic autonomy rests. Climate policy too advances with reinforcements to the emissions trading system for greater stability and predictability. Wildfire strategies, bird protection guidelines, and support for farmers in Bulgaria, Estonia, and Hungary, €21.5 million in emergency aid, demonstrate a union attuned to both planetary health and human livelihoods. Relations beyond the bloc add layers of nuance. The United Kingdom, a decade after Brexit, inches closer once more. Prime Minister Starmer's government faces domestic pressures, yet announcements of a new EU-UK summit signal ambition. Deeper economic ties on agriculture, electricity, and emissions trading, alongside security cooperation rooted in shared values. As one British official remarked, the long-term national interest demands partnership with Europe to mend Brexit's economic scars. Across the Atlantic, Trump's influence looms, his critiques of allies like Italy's Giorgia Meloni on Iran stances, his phone calls stumping for Orban pre-election. Yet Europe charts its course independently. Even Canada earns praise from Finland's president as a marriage made in heaven for EU ties, highlighting the bloc's global outreach. Internally, the EU confronts its own tests of unity. Snap elections in Bulgaria loom amid disinformation fears, while France and Germany's political undercurrents, rising scrutiny of chancellors and collapsing governments, remind us that democratic vitality requires constant vigilance. The far-right's inroads across the continent, from Saxony-Anhalt to Nordic fringes, normalise political decay in some eyes, yet Hungary's result offers a counter-narrative of mainstream resurgence. Migration pacts enter full application in June, solidarity mechanisms, long toxic, now tested in practice. Artificial intelligence's impact on the web, startup potential, and irregular migration flows, all flagged in the EPRS's 10 Issues to Watch in 2026, demand agile governance. As President Antonio Costa's weekly schedule unfolds and the European Parliament's plenary agendas fill with coordination on social security and beyond, one senses a union awakening. The next long-term budget debates will pit democratic oversight against fiscal prudence. Ukraine's integration path, defence rearmament, EU-China relations, ocean action, and post-COVID lessons all converge in 2026 as a hinge year, as analysts describe it. The boundary between early 21st century Europe and its mid-century incarnation. In this tapestry of challenges and triumphs, the EU's beauty lies in its resilience. From the sunlit plazas of Budapest, where jubilant crowds celebrated Magyar's win, to the secure halls of NATO briefings and the earnest debates in Strasbourg's hemicycle. Politics here is not abstract. It is lived by farmers receiving wine sector aid in France, by innovators in Ukrainian deep tech awarded 20 million euros to spark solutions, by citizens petitioning for ethical foreign policy. The bloc's legislative priorities for 2026, jointly declared by Parliament, Council and Commission, prioritise growth, simplification and defence surge. Omnibus packages cut red tape. A voluntary regime for competitiveness takes shape.